So thank you so much, sir, again for joining us. I think we had a very interesting session, a few days back, and the session you mentioned a lot about angel investing, but we took our deal live last week, Samosa Party. The deal got some phenomenal traction, but in the journey of that deal, we realized that a lot of people are actually curious to know more about angel investing, and at the same time had a lot of questions around the basic principles of angel investing, and also wanted to understand how does the entire flow work, right, in terms of a one-time investor journey and a deal-by-deal investor journey. What are the different processes? What are the steps involved in it? And how, what are the basics of angel investing at an overall level? What are the threats? What are the risks involved? Like I was getting interesting questions like, यार मैं पैसा तो डाल दूंगा बट बताओ कितना बनने वाला है 3 साल बाद, right? So I thought, while I was trying my best to tackle those questions, but I thought it would be great if you could throw light, because you have been into the consumer internet startup for the last 25 years, yourself done about 30 investments personally, via the WFC network. You guys are doing close to about 100 plus deals on a yearly basis. So who better than you to actually answer those questions, right? So I I think we have discussed the agenda, and I would ask folks on the call. We have 38 of us who can actually put in their questions as part of the session. The way we'll break it down is, sir, I would request you to spend about 30 minutes to cover two major parts. One is some basics about angel investing, and second, a quick walkthrough about how does the platform work and what are the steps involved in terms of a one-time registration process from an investor standpoint, plus a deal by deal process that is involved. And then the last 30 minutes, we will take up Q&As. We already have about 10-15 questions that have come up as part of the registration form. And beyond that, people can keep putting in questions here and we can take it ahead from there.
Acknowledge, Kshitij, and thank you. And thank you so much for a very warm welcome. And I must compliment whole community. A very first deal raising almost like 1.5 CR. So when I look back and we found a circle, for the first year, our average was 50 lakh only. And that too, we were building community, going places, and it was taking too much time. So doing that in a short span is awesome, I must say. And by the way, my wife had a craving yesterday night samosa खाने. मैंने कहा चलो samosa party का order करते हैं, देखे तो सही ये ऐसे तो बेच रहे हैं, वैसे कैसे बेचता है वो. Let's figure
in
that
fact,
out.
a lot of angel investors who have done angel investing on Samosa Party are actually consumers. So consumers who like the product, they were very happy with the experience, and then they were like, if I like the product, I am aligned with the brand. Why don't I invest in the brand as well?
Yeah, that always works. So my first investment was Oban, and I'm after their life की मार्च में डिलीवरी है, पहली बाइक घर पे आनी चाहिए वरना अच्छा नहीं होगा. So from a samosa to a bike, it's about user experience is all I can say. So Kshitij, let me go with the flow as you mentioned, and possibly you can change directions as required, since you know the community better. So friends, a very warm welcome and a very good afternoon. I'll just start with the basics of angel investment. As a background, I can share for myself. I was in India Mart for 22 years. Joined when they were 3 crore, left when they were $3 billion. So seen the journey, been there, was managing almost 4,000 people, 200 offices. फिर सोचा यार काफी काम है, थोड़ा सा कम करते हैं, and then joined this bandwagon. Last year was the first one where I started investment and did almost 26 investment, one every fortnight. And that's the equal amount I'm planning this year also, already having done 3 investments. So when Kshitij says that here from me, yes, it's from a horse's mouth. There's no better learning than burning your own money and then learn. So that's the best learning anybody can get. So 3 rules that I keep repeating, and I mentioned last time also for angel investment. That's very important for all. Just in case anybody has joined last one, also first 15 minutes may be sort of repetitive. First rule is it is risky, so invest when you have access. So there are multiple asset class in the world and in India. Typically, a house, gold, mutual fund, equity. These are the 4 asset class all of us invest into, and they generally end up giving, on an average, people can be lucky and people can be having a bad time. Average of 10% return across all the asset class across a year. That's a peak that I have seen for myself. Then comes the asset class. One is crypto, one is startup. These are the asset class which are high risk but high reward. So my first rule says invest only when excess, because unlike all other asset class, this can go zero. आप मकान सस्ते में बेच सकते हो, इक्विटी में शेयर ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है 10-20%, जनरली जीरो नहीं होता. दिस इज वन एसेट क्लास which is high risk, it can become zero, and high reward, it can become 10x. We'll talk more about that. Don't get excited either ways, but very important for people to understand. And that's why we also say कि अपने टोटल इन्वेस्टमेंट का 10% से ऊपर इस ऐसे क्लास में मत लगाइए प्लीज. आई डोंट वांट टू screw up any target that anybody of us have, either Kshitij or me, but investors are the primary important goal in this session. Total अपने asset investment planning का 10% से ऊपर, please don't plan for this asset class, at least not for 2-3 years till you get very comfortable. नहीं भाई यहीं से कमाना, that's a different story as individual. So invest when excess. Number two, this is not a liquid asset. Liquidation takes its own time and can take up to 5 years also. So one of the questions Kshitij was saying, and we'll talk more, is exit कब है, पैसे कैसे आएंगे. दोस्त कम आएंगे ज्यादा आएंगे वो भी डिस्कस करते हैं, बट 5 साल का फ्रेम लेकर चलिएगा. इट्स लाइक अ नॉन मैच्योरेबल एफडी, आप ऐसे समझ लीजिए. उसके बाद आएगा नहीं आएगा वो भी अभी क्वेश्चन मार्क है, बट इट्स नॉट लिक्विड. यू कैन नॉट build any expense based on outcome from this asset class, at least not before 5 years. Third, diversify. As for any asset class, don't put all the eggs in a single basket. ये एसेट क्लास वो है जहाँ बहुत फोमो है. जस्ट इन केस कोई मेरी तरह एजेड है तो फियर ऑफ मिसिंग आउट, दिस फोमो. लॉट मेनी पीपल मे अंडरस्टैंड एंड लॉट मेनी मे नॉट, बट as soon as you feel like कि यही कंपनी अच्छी है, there will be one more company and one more and one more. Don't put all your eggs in a single basket, too risky. My general goal और जनरल प्राइस पॉइंट 15 से 20 इन्वेस्टमेंट करनी चाहिए सबको. So people ask एंट्री बैरियर क्या है, कितने पैसे खर्चे, दैट्स वेयर आई कनेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट कितनी करनी चाहिए. फॉर मी एंट्री बैरियर साल का 10 लाख रुपए बहुत होता है. यू डोंट नीड अ 50 लाख वाला 100 लाख का करोड़ टू नहीं चाहिए होता. फॉर अस सिंपल फिलॉसफी, साल में 5-6 डील में इन्वेस्ट करिए. मोस्ट ऑफ द प्लेटफॉर्म अलाउ एज लो एज 2 लाख रुपए पर डील, तो यानी 10-12 लाख रुपए चाहिए होता है. बट ईयर ऑन ईयर इन्वेस्ट करिए प्लीज. When we say year on year, at least 3 years, make a portfolio of at least 6 company into 318 company. Then I can guarantee you, if you're doing via any platform, you can make up to 3x in 5 years. That's my assured guarantee if you go by these 3 rules. And then third rule is obviously most important, diversify. एक कंपनी में 50 लाख लगाना और 25 कंपनी में 50 लाख लगाने में बहुत फर्क होता है. आरओआई सेम मिलेगा आप. जहां 25 कंपनी हमेशा सेफ होंगी, एक कंपनी हमेशा रिस्की होगी. In terms of entry, as I just mentioned, you can do as small as 2 lakh rupees. But अगर एक या दो या तीन ही कंपनी में लगाने का मूड है, my only recommendation, please मत लगाइए. Don't even get into this asset class. This is not an asset class which can give you any returns in 2 or 3 investment, even if that is 5-7 lakh rupees. Will not. Unless you want to build a portfolio of 15 to 20 companies, चाहे 2-3 साल लगे, that's okay. There's no rush कि इस साल नहीं हुआ तो कुछ खत्म होने कुछ नहीं होगा. जैसे ही आपको लगेगा मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है, कंपनी अच्छी निकल गई, डोंट बॉदर. इन्यूमरेबल कंपनी, इन्यूमरेबल अपॉर्चुनिटीज, जस्ट हैव पेशेंस. सो आप साल में 10-12 लाख रुपए लगाएंगे, बट साल 10 साल लगाएंगे. एंड आई एम टॉकिंग द मिनिमम कॉमन डिनोमिनेटर. इट डजंट मीन कि अगर 50 लाख लगाने तो कोई अलाउड नहीं है. बट व्हाट इज द लोएस्ट एंट्री बैरियर फॉर टाइम शेयरिंग. इन टर्म्स ऑफ एग्जिट, माय थंब रूल सेज 75% में मिलेगा नहीं, 25% में आप लोगे नहीं, तो एग्जिट मिलता नहीं है असल में कभी. ऑन अ प्रैक्टिकल नोट, the companies which are doing good are the companies you never want to exit. And lot of other companies will actually go berserk in 3 to 5 years by the time exit may come. So yes, a very personal choice on exit. But if you diversify and make it a portfolio, 3x in 5 years is generally possible. But do via platform. Triple F में मत इन्वेस्ट करिएगा. Friend, family and fools. Nothing personal about anybody, but they are too risky. Too risky. They don't happen by your structured knowledge, but by emotions. दोस्त इमोशन का आलोई तो किसी भी ऐसे क्लास में बहुत डिफिकल्ट है. किसी भी प्लेटफॉर्म से ले लीजिए. एंड आई एम नॉट इवन हियर टू कन्वर्स WFC. देयर आर 10-12 गुड प्लेटफॉर्म्स इन इंडिया which do curation. At least they kill 90% of the risk. rather than anybody की छत तू तो मेरे ताऊ का बेटा है या something और चलो 5 लाख लगा देता है, that's very risky. Risky both in terms of investment and most of the time even legal compliance भी बहुत मीडियोकर होती है क्योंकि पता ही नहीं होता फाउंडर को, वो अवॉइड करिएगा. That's my friendly advice out there. Secondly, when we talk exit, while I say 3x in 5 years, while I say 20 companies and all that, another thing that I personally would like to apply, अभी मेरी भी exit आनी नहीं शुरू हुई, जब भी exit मिले, let's say you have taken a benchmark of 2x or 3x or whatever, 50% exit ले लीजिए. Don't lock yourself to a particular asset. अपना principal safe रखिए. That helps you in two ways. One, ROI. And second, it liquidates your money to invest further in another company. I'm not saying कि पैसा लेकर घर चले जाओ. Use that money to reinvest. Because that's the best. आप मकान भी बेचते हो तो दूसरा मकान ही खरीद रहे होते, बड़ा मकान लेते हो. आप कोई घर पे कैश लेकर तो कोई रखता नहीं. The rule doesn't differs in this asset class also. People keep asking exit मिलता कैसे है? So there are three ways people generally can get exit. One, which everybody knows, is IPO. IPO इंडिया में इन जनरल 12 से 15 साल से पहले नहीं आता. So IPO is a very long shot call. और वो वैसे भी किसी 1 लाख कंपनी में या तो 10,000 कंपनी में एक का होता है. Second exit is when a VC comes in and he may offer a forced exit to small/retail investors. So I don't know how many of you know, in India there is a cap of maximum 200 investors on a cap table of a private limited company. 201 होते ही उसे पब्लिक लिमिटेड बनना होता है, which nobody wants जब तक वो IPO नहीं कर रहा. तो VC doesn't want too many small investors on the cap table. वो कहता है भाई मैं इस वैल्यूएशन पे आपको एग्जिट दे रहा हूँ, आप लेना है तो आप you can go and move on. So that's a forced exit. We call that from a VC. Third is called secondary sale. Secondary sale बिल्कुल वैसे होता है जैसे आप स्टॉक्स अपने बेचते हैं. क्षितिज को अपना कोई एक शेयर बेचना है, उसने उसमें डाला, क्या कहते हैं जो भी प्लेटफॉर्म्स बने हुए, and then somebody buys it at a bit. There is a difference in unlisted asset class क्योंकि कोई प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं है. There is a problem statement कि मेरे को बेचना है तो बेचूं किसे. Generally you end up connecting either the founder or the platform. But yes, secondary sales do happen. Secondary sale is the easiest way where you can get at a discount of 20 to 30% on the next round. यानी आपने 100 रुपए का दिया, अगला राउंड 400 रुपए का चल रहा है, 400 रुपए में तो आदमी वहीं से खरीद लेगा. If you offer at let's say 300 rupees, 280, those shares can get sold. Depending, obviously, there is a buyer and there is a market. So Shete, just to help you, like we have Invest as a platform to invest, we will soon be coming by the end of this year for a platform to divest, where people will be able to sell. That's the next offering that we are working on, because that's a blue ocean which is not available right now.
Correct.
So if people have to sell, they can even offer a discount of 20, 30, 40%, but बेचे किसी को नहीं पता. There is no platform like a listed company कि यार यहाँ पे मैंने bid लगा दी बिक जाएगा. So all that has happened, and we see that as an opportunity, working on that. Just FYI, nothing beyond that here. So these are the ways people can exit. So that's a very preliminary. So shit is from my side in terms of angel investment and general. If everything is okay, we can move to next set where you mentioned our process.
Yes, sir. We can move. After that, we'll take up more questions.
Sure. Okay. On the process side, how the workflow happens, and possibly I can also write on chat so that people can relate better if that helps anybody. Am I allowed to write to her? No. Okay. Can you open the chat for me, Kshitij, so that I can write to all if that's okay?
Yes, I'll do that.
It may be too heavy for people, so I just want to ease.
You can now, sir.
Yeah, so I can write to her. I'll just keep writing on chat so that people can relate. So for an investment, first and foremost, the process says you have to discover a deal where you want to invest. When you say discover a deal, I talk about D2C only. So let's say they brought Samosa Party, let's say they brought 3, 4, 5 deals together. Not every investor invests in all the investments. That never happens. People do select based on industry, people do select based on valuation, people do select based on किस शहर का या किस country का. There are a lot of criteria that people can apply. So first step that I keep writing is deal selection. That's why people want. Sorry, there's a misspelling. Pardon me for that. That's where the platform comes into place, where all the deals shall be available as we keep adding. People can search for that because end of the day, deal discovery is very important. Once you have seen a deal, all the deals that we put on our platform will have all the details right from their business numbers, their monthly performance, their team, their product video, their pitch video. So you can actually scrutinize, हाँ यही deal है जहाँ मुझे पैसा लगाना है. Once you do that, the next step which says is you need to share your intent. कि हाँ मैं इसमें I really want to invest. Most of the platforms, at least D2C group for that matter, allows as low as 2 lakh rupees. So people can start from 2 lakh commitment. There are people who want to do 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 25 lakh, everything is allowed. So simply you can share your intent. As soon as that is done, your actual onboarding process starts. So the next step is to do your KYC. And this is a one-time process, by the way. Onboarding oblique KYC is nothing but putting up all the details, including a self-declaration, including your PAN, Aadhaar, and all the documentation, including FATCA registration that yes, I am not a foreigner and so on and so forth. Putting up your nominees, all that combined is called as onboarding oblique KYC. Please remember one thumb rule. These all processes are highly regulated by SEBI. India whole ecosystem is regulated by SEBI. So just in case anybody has any thoughts, यार unlisted है ये तो ऐसे ही हो जाता होगा मैं उससे दोस्ती करके कर दूंगा कुछ नहीं होता. Nothing happens in cash. All the transaction finally will result into proper shares being delivered to you in offline mode, online mode, soft copy, hard copy, whatever. It's a very structured and regulated process. So unless we do all these steps, nobody can move forward anywhere. Once you've done your KYC, the next step is called as contribution agreement. What is contribution agreement is that you agree to invest minimum of 25 lakh rupees in next 5 years. And why is that a cap 25 lakh rupees? Because SEBI doesn't want retail investors to risk themselves in this asset class. अगर किसी ने PMS में इन्वेस्ट किया इंडिया में, PMS is portfolio management system where you can have your portfolio managed by somebody. उसमें 3 साल पहले तक 25 लाख की लिमिट थी मिनिमम. गवर्नमेंट इंक्रीज दैट टू 50 लाख जस्ट टू एंश्योर कि यार रिस्की एसेट क्लास है, इसमें कम से कम पैसा चाहिए होता है. सोचिए अगर वहां पे 50 लाख है, आई एम नॉट वेरी श्योर कि स्टार्टअप में 25 ही लाख के यहाँ भी नहीं बढ़ा दे सेबी थोड़े दिनों बाद. मतलब आई वुड नॉट बी सरप्राइज्ड. So contribution agreement simply says that you agree to invest 25 lakh rupees in next 5 years via a fund in unlisted asset class. So that's a contribution agreement about. It's a one-time process till the time you end up investing 25 lakh rupees. आपका जब 25 लाख हो जाएगा तो आपको contribution agreement का appendix दोबारा से sign करना होगा. Because fund can take only that much money that which you have agreed upon. Fund उससे ज्यादा पैसे ले ही नहीं सकता आपसे. तो अगर 25 लाख का एग्रीमेंट है और बाय चांस आखिरी डील 27 लाख की है तो फंड को पहले साइन करवाना पड़ेगा तभी वो पैसा ले सकता है एज पर सेबी कंप्लायंस अगेन.
Sir, on this point, there are two questions that had come up. One question was that this criteria of 25 lakhs is actually at a AIF level, at a fund level, and not at a overall angel investing level, right? So
yes, that's what I repeat. For a fund via an investor and in unlisted asset class only, there are 3 keywords. So every time an investor signs with a different fund, there is another 25 lakh agreement that you need to do.
Correct.
So for a fund, by an investor, for unlisted asset class, there are 3 important keywords that we need to remember. Yes.
And I think one more thing that I had read was that there's a 2 crore limit, net asset value or net liquid value that one needs to have to qualify for an angel investor.
So, while that's the case, and I'm not against SEBI or something, my general perception is most of us सबके पास एक गाड़ी है, एक मकान है, मतलब कुछ कुछ खरीद के फिर स्टार्टअप में आ चुके हैं. In general, mathematically, each of us qualify. If you are in this call, my gut feeling is we all qualify.
Yeah,
Normal
I think
army,
इसीलिए शायद सेबी ने ये रूल लगाया होगा ना. If you're minimum 2 crores and let's say just 25 lakhs, so your exposure to the ecosystem becomes more like 10-12%, which is usually the healthy kind of mix, right?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, you are bang on. And that's why I also say कि startup ऐसे क्लास में लोग आते ही बाकी चाल के बाद है. जब तक मकान नहीं ले लिया, गाड़ी नहीं ले ली, लैपटॉप नहीं ले लिया, और थोड़ा सा म्यूचुअल फंड नहीं हो गया, ये नहीं हो गया. सो आई जनरली बिलीव दैट अनलेस यू रीच अ सर्टेन लेवल, asset class is not for you. Yes, I'm a bit worried. आजकल पता लगा क्रिप्टो में 25-25 साल के बच्चे बिल्कुल जॉब शुरू ही सैलरी मिले शुरू हो जाते हैं. I really worry about that. But yes, you are right. And government doesn't want too much exposure. वो तो इसलिए मैं the first rule that I even mentioned, आप अपने पूरे पोर्टफोलियो का प्लीज 10% से ऊपर मत बजट करिएगा. डोंट गेट टू मच ग्रीडी. जब तक 3 साल 4 साल हो जाए आपको आरओआई नहीं मिलेगा, प्लीज डोंट ओवर एक्सपोज. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, since you did on that.
Right, absolutely, sir. Please continue.
So these are two steps which you mentioned, onboarding and contribution agreement, which are one time. Then again, coming to the deal that you have selected, let's say आपने कहा कि समोसा पार्टी में इन्वेस्ट करना है, मैंने 2 लाख रुपए कमिट कर दिए, 5 लाख रुपए कमिट कर दिए. ये 2 डॉक्यूमेंट आपको साइन करने होंगे, which is KYC document and contribution. Then you need to sign for every deal something called as consent form. What is, sorry, it's number 5. Or can I delete that? No, sorry, that was number 5. Consent form simply says, number 1, that I have read the term sheet of the deal. Term sheet का मतलब कि मैंने इन्वेस्टमेंट आइटम पढ़ लिए हैं कि लेट से वो 100 करोड़ की वैल्यूएशन पे है, वो 100 करोड़, वो 100 में से 10 करोड़ रेज कर रहा है, वो इतने इतने परसेंटेज फीस D2C ले रहे हैं, उस पे कैप टेबल पे ऐसे होगा, उस पे syndicate पे ये होगा, इतना कैरी लगेगा. So term sheet is nothing but details of that deal with respect to fee structure and investment structure. टेक्निकली तो आप पढ़ेंगे, टर्म शीट होती है 70 पेज की, तो वो बिल्कुल हाउस लोन की तरह होता है कि अगर पढ़ लो तो कोई ले नहीं पाएगा. बट इन अ वेरी क्रक्स, दिस इज व्हाट टर्म शीट इज अबाउट. So when you are giving consent, you give consent on 2 items. One, that I have read the term sheet. एंड सेकंड, यहाँ पे जो अमाउंट लिखा है मैंने वो भी हाँ कहा है कि इतना पैसा मैं इस पे दूंगा. इनिशियल इंटेंट कैन बी वेरी इनिशियल इंटेंट कि मैंने शुरू में कहा था, क्षितिज से बात हुई, डील अच्छी लगी, 2 लाख नहीं 4 लाख देना है. बट कंसेंट वंस यू क्वालिफाइड becomes a compulsory obligation. After that, rolling back is almost impossible. Once you have given the consent for the deal, both for term sheet and amount, the last step, which is number 6, is drawdown. Drawdown notice is nothing but asking you to submit the money. आपके पास एक ऑफिशियल मेल आएगी कि आप लेट्स से सीरीज ए समोसा पार्टी के 130 करोड़ के राउंड में आपने 2 लाख रुपए इन्वेस्ट करने को कहा है, प्लीज अब इस बैंक अकाउंट में पैसे ट्रांसफर कर दीजिए. That's what exactly drawdown notice. Once the money is received by the fund, in due course, after all the money has been received, you are allotted, depending on the case, with either shares or units. In fact, I would simply say you get units for the deal. Same जैसे आपको म्यूचुअल फंड की यूनिट्स मिलती है, ऐसे यहाँ पे आपको यूनिट्स दी जाएंगी, which will be visible on your My Dashboard on Invest platform. This completes the process. I can reiterate, just reading here. आप इंटेंट देते हैं, आप पहले डील देखते हैं, इंटेंट देते हैं. अगर आप रिपीट यूजर है तो केवाईसी कंट्रीब्यूशन दोबारा नहीं करना पड़ेगा. आप अपने इंटेंट का कंसेंट देंगे कि हाँ मैंने टर्म शीट पढ़ ली है, मैं इतने पैसे दे रहा हूँ, आपसे पैसे मांगे जाएंगे, आप जमा कर देंगे, और उसके अगेंस्ट आपको यूनिट्स अलॉट हो जाएंगी, which will be very much visible on your My Portfolio on Invest. That completes the deal, full stop.
Right, sir. Sir, I think there is a question that has come up that is it compulsory to invest 25 lakhs? What if I'm not able to do so in a period of 5 years?
So friends, there is a difference between SEBI's guideline and SEBI's, I would say, act or rule. So this is SEBI's guideline to say कि भाई ये आपको करना चाहिए. This rule अभी कोई penalty SEBI ने नहीं कहा हुआ कि वो जेल भेज देंगे, कुछ कर देंगे, nothing of that sort. But please understand, since you are acting directly with a fund who is a SEBI compliant, all I would say, don't risk it. अभी क्षितिज इसके अगेंस्ट कोई भी जो एक्शन है एज ऑफ टुडे इज मैनेज बाय फंड हिमसेल्फ. सेबी अभी डायरेक्टली कुछ नहीं करती. बट प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, अगर सेबी मास्टर कार्ड जैसी कंपनी को 9 महीने कार्ड ना इशू करने के लिए रोक सकती है, तो हम आप तो देखो कौन है.
Correct.
So while this question keeps coming very very often, all I say कि अगर आपको आयोटा का भी शक है कि 25 लाख नहीं करोगे, प्लीज 15 लाख भी मत करो. बट सेबी से रिस्क मत लो, जस्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि यार देखते हैं क्या होगा. सेबी इज नॉट द बॉडी टू टेक दैट रिस्क. स्कूल टीचर और प्रिंसिपल तक ठीक था ये सब अपनी लाइफ में. सेबी इज नॉट द बॉडी टू.
सही है सर. Sir, I think thank you so much for the process detail and a brief introduction on angel investing. A few questions that I had to begin with, and folks would request if you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A section. So, sir, one question that kept coming to me a lot of times was that how should one look at the return on angel investment, right? Now, in terms of कि return कितना बनेगा और जैसे like the samosa party deal came up and they were like यार बताओ 3 साल में कितना बन जाएगा इसमें. And I was like यार how do I commit on to you on that? Obviously it's an asset class. It is a risky asset class, so no one can predict that. But let's say if you diversify it properly, you might be able to get a healthy return. Was my answer. Do you think there's a better?
Kshitij, your voice was intermittently missing, but I got the question. I can answer. In general, one should diversify, and I keep saying my sweet spot is 18 to 20 companies. If somebody is asking after one deal, my answer will be you will get 0x, and I am being very blunt, just to ensure that you don't get into that trap. एक डील का ROI अगर कोई भी ढूंढ सकता है तो भगवान हो जाएगा. फिर तो हर आदमी को पता है कि यही लॉटरी है, इसी को कर दो, ये अलादीन का चिराग है, वो किसी को नहीं पता. If you properly diversify in 18 to 20 companies, even if as low as 2 lakh rupees, that amount hardly matters. Our general experience is it goes to 3x in 5 years as an overall asset class. Our mathematics says, and that's very standard mathematics now, 76% of your investment will doom. They will give 0. 2% will give 50x. Another 2% will give 10x. Another 10% will give 5x, and another 10% will give 2x. That's how mathematics work, which average out to 3 to 3.5x in 5 years from your last investment. And that's a very structured mathematical model. In 18 to 20 companies, and let's say you are doing via a single platform, let's say आप सब D2C के through कर रहे हैं. अगर 20 कंपनी भी फेल हो गई, then the question mark is on the platform itself, which generally doesn't happen. Again, since it's a very risky asset class, it's my responsibility to say, worst case में तो 20 भी 0 हो सकता है, होता नहीं है. But then all of us need to be very, very badly curating the deals. So, Chetan, my answer 3x in 5 years across a diversified asset class, calculating from last investment. ऐसा नहीं है पहली इन्वेस्टमेंट आज की और जो 20 है वो 3 साल बाद की और आज से 5 साल, वो नहीं हो सकता था. And all the old platform, and I can name, let's say from Mumbai Angel to Venture Catalyst or something, they have a trend now 8 to 10 years. So if you just pick up their books and pick up their data, you will be able to see that.
No, and I think, sir, there are two differences that I think. One is that because D2C as an asset class is a less risky asset class versus, let's say, a typical tech play, right? Wherein, let's say, it becomes a 1 or 0 game, because brand business is not something which typically becomes a 1 or 0. So I think that way, I think relatively the relative risk versus a typical angel investment might be a little lower here. However, the return will also be in accordance to that. Second thing, with respect to this particular thing of calculating returns, is that when you look at an 18 to 20 company portfolio, how should one think about it? Should one think that, okay, should I do all of these as early deals? Should I do some of them as late mutual fund, right? that I have a small cap, a mid cap fund, and a large cap fund. Maybe I have another flexi fund as well.
So, Kshitij, most of the people that I generally see invest at a certain stage. For example, my sweet spot, I generally don't invest in companies beyond 100K. Beyond uh, 100 crore rupees of their valuation. I personally don't invest. I did almost 26 investment last year. That's an exception. In general, I don't do. I have a few friends where they say कि हम सिर्फ सीरीज ए पे ही इन्वेस्ट करते हैं. The difference between the two is Series A may give you less multiplier in terms of ROI, but they are much stable. क्योंकि वो उस लेवल तक पहुंच गई है, there are lot of investors which are already connected and blah blah blah. Versus a very early stage, which will give you a multiplier of 20x, but I have a very high chance to fail. So I'm saying it's purely on individual investor on the type of deal they are looking at. Again, if I talk about myself, I'm industry agnostic. It's not that you guys at D2C are not doing something right or wrong. मुझे लगता है मेरे को एज ए इन्वेस्टर जहां से पैसा कमाता हूं मतलब मुझे क्यों रुकना है. It can be D2C, it can be EV, it can be healthcare, it can be. So I'm saying it's very individualistic philosophy of an investor. But वो जो भी decide करे फिर let's stick to that for 15-18 companies. Let's not keep toggling. आज मैं 100 करोड़ की कंपनी में लगा रहा हूँ, कल मैं $1 बिलियन में भी लगा रहा हूँ. $1 बिलियन में पहली बात आप 2 लाख लगा नहीं पाएंगे, आपके पास डील ही नहीं आएगी. That goes only to VCs for that matter. Even if you end up doing 1 बिलियन का 10 बिलियन होना मतलब काफी डिफिकल्ट काम है. प्रैक्टिकली 10 करोड़ का या 100 करोड़ का 1000 करोड़ होना फिर पॉसिबल है. So any pick, any choice, select any square in 2x2 matrix, and everything is good is all I can say.
Understood, sir. Sir, I think people got very excited about the formula that you mentioned. So I think a request is coming in if you can put the formula on the chat, right? The 76% formula that you were mentioning about.
Okay. But please don't quote me anywhere, by the way. Okay, I'm just trying to write here. Will it allow I enter? Just give me a second. I write on a notepad and the paste here. Just give me 1 minute, guys.
So no worries, we can send it later on the group as well.
Yeah, I'll just take half a minute. That's okay. Just half. I'm just writing mathematical. You got it?
Yes, got it. Perfect. Sir, I think two questions which are more related to the charges in angel investing. I think the first charge is the transaction fees or the TDR that is being charged, which is typically charge about 2% to the investor. So I think people wanted to know why is that charged and what is the reason for that charge?
So typically, so why is that charge? Because everybody has to earn, as simple. So any platform is working, they need some fees. Even if you go to mutual fund, whenever you invest 100 rupees, they cut 25%, then invest 99.75 rupees. So everybody takes it, which is called as a management fees. Anybody who has invested in PMS, even PMS charge from 1.5% to 5%. So historically, what was the case that all the asset class was charged 5% of the fees upfront. Slowly and gradually, people said, "Yeah, सारा risk मेरा है, होगा या नहीं होगा." So people divided into half and half. कि 2.5% आप transaction fee दे दो और 2.5% आप मुझे success पे दे देना. That's how it starts to evolve. Success पे क्योंकि तब risk उसका भी था, वो 2.5% की बजाय वो 15% तक भी लोग लेने लगे. So the model says that a fund and a platform needs fees to run its business, which is called management fee in any asset class. जब आप मकान भी खरीदते हैं तो भी वो आपसे 1% तो कमीशन वहां पे भी लेता है. चाहे वो 1 करोड़ का मकान हो 5 करोड़ का, there is nothing very great or new about that. So this is the same management fee that is required. Since people don't want to pay too much upfront, there is a second model which came up, which is called as carry now, which happens only on success. क्या success होगा तो तुम कमाना मैं कमाऊंगा, नहीं तो दोनों नहीं कमाएंगे. So this 2% TDI is nothing but the management fee that any asset class, including property, including share, and everybody at a certain value is taxed, and so is here.
Right, and sir, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of process involved in the back end to kind of, in the life cycle of a deal, right? So from a fund perspective, the processes involved are first, identifying the deal, shortlisting the deals, talking to the entrepreneur, figuring out whether the deal is good enough to be taken.
Kshitiz, for every deal that anybody brings, on a minimum they create 200 deals. That's an industry benchmark.
Correct.
200 deal के आप founder से मिल रहे हैं, time लगा रहे हैं, that's number one. Number two, fund management itself is too expensive because for every deal, as a fund, you are supposed to present valuation report for next 10 years. आप चाहे exit कर दो, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, but fund cannot exit ever. Fund has to comply with SEBI for 10 years. So ये जो one time पैसा दे रहे हैं, इसमें deal creation भी है, इसमें onboarding process भी है, इसमें KYC भी है, इसमें fund पे registration भी है, और इसमें 10 साल का वो भी है, जो valuation report है. All that is combined in that 2% fee that somebody charge.
In fact, sir, a lot of platforms end up also charging like a registration fees also, right? जहाँ पे मैंने देखा है कि like platforms like IPV and Let's Venture have a one-time registration fees additional on top of it. So I think that way we are good.
अगर मैं आपको practical number दूं from a fund perspective, the fund is a loss-making entity for at least 5 years at these fees, practically. If I simply share you answer, but I'm not here to convince कि fund की cost क्या है. I'm saying for every process there is a cost. Cost तो आखिरी में जो पैसे लगाएगा उसी की जेब से जाएगी, और फंड अपनी जेब से तो दे नहीं सकता, which is called management fee. That's the fees. ऐसा. And I'm just comparing कि आप मकान खरीदते वक्त भी दे ही रहे हो, म्यूचुअल फंड देते हुए दे ही रहे हो. Nobody ask any question. Same is the case in this asset class.
Correct. Right. Yeah. And sir, I think one more was to throw a little bit of light on carry. What does it exactly mean? And second is, like someone had a question as a part of the registration, that is 10% carry high, right? That we have, for example, we had charged, but I think the industry benchmarks are much higher than that. So maybe if you can throw light upon what is the industry benchmarks right now, how much does a fund charge carry and
So, Kshitij, as I mentioned earlier, first of all, there's a huge cost to manage any fund and any deal for that matter. The earlier model used to be upfront transaction fee, which people started to claim कि यार 5% बहुत ज़्यादा, and so on. And so the carry model came in, and I'm not saying ये कल परसों तरसों, it is like 30-40 years. It's not कि we suddenly produced any new formula or something. So people started. आपने कभी किसी ने hurdle rate भी सुना होगा, for example.
Correct.
When you invest in equity or when you invest in PMS, तो even fund manager कहता है कि अच्छा मैं 10% जब दूंगा उसके बाद ही फीस दूंगा आपसे. The carry fee. So I'm saying carry has very, very different models and connotation. End of the day, it is a success fee that a platform and fund is carrying, is charging when a success comes, which I am saying is maximum of 24% cases as per our model. तो यानी बाकी 76 में तो फंड और प्लेटफॉर्म को भी कुछ नहीं मिल रहा. Global standard model is 2/20. People charge 2% transaction fee and 20% carry. That's a very normal standard model. People can do lesser than that. People generally don't do more than that. In fact, as per SEBI guideline, transaction fee 2% से ऊपर allowed ही नहीं है इंडिया में. Global fund में allowed है. Global fund में you can charge even 5% of transaction fee and 30% of carry. वहां पर उतना भी allowed है. Secondly, what is a good number of carry? It depends on the deal. So we have deals where we see sure shot success कि यार यहाँ तो मतलब profit आना ही है. We ended up charging 15-18% also. There are deals which may be, let's say, equally risky for that matter because it's an incubation stage and all that. People may charge as less as 8 to 10% also. But if you go by benchmark, possible 2/20 is a very standard model. Out of 20%, at least for our fund, we charge 3% as a fund fees. क्योंकि वो 2% is never sufficient. We say कि चलो even if we earn when you profit, so we charge 3% carry out of let's say 12% or 15 or 18 whatever you charge. That's a standard model. And again that's a fund fees. मतलब it has nothing to do with platform. Fund चलाने की cost बहुत है.
Right. Sir, I think two last questions that I will take, and very interesting ones again. So someone asked us that that how the startup is actually making a loss, right? Or should I invest in that startup? Now, again, this question might be very raw right now, but I think a lot of people on our community are actually first-time investors, so would really request you to answer that question as well.
Friends, there are two type of model, and I come from India Mart, which has been profitable from day one or year one. So there are two models where you bootstrap, you remain profitable, and then grow at a rate of whatever possible. So at India Mart, we have grown at a 30% CAGR since 25 years. But then on a negative note, it's only 30%. The way we are looking at startups right now, where we expect at least, so for example, we found a circle, and Kshitij, just to help you refer, we are planning 3x growth this year in a single year. We have raised fund for ourselves also. So my answer is, if anybody is looking at that type of growth in the companies that they are investing, शुरू में हमेशा cash burn होगा. A very high cost is always CAC. CAC is customer acquisition cost in any business. अगर आप ज्यादा customers को onboard कर रहे हैं, तो ज्यादा पैसा खर्च होगा, जिसका revenue तो अगले 5 साल में आएगा. So either you invest in a company which is growing at a 25% and profitable, but फिर वो आपको 10x ROI नहीं दे पाएगी कभी. Or you invest in companies which are 200% growing every year, एक का 3, 3 का 8, 8 का 10 or something like that. They might end up being in loss in earlier stages, and that's exactly why they are raising fund. अगर profitable है तो आपका मेरा पैसा लेकर क्या करेंगे वो बेचारे? Then they can invest their own money to expand their business, which is called as bootstrapping. But bootstrapping is always very slow. 20-25-30% से ऊपर कंपनी ग्रो नहीं कर पाती है जनरली. Yes, you need to decide, for example, कि किसी का रेवेन्यू से आधा ही लॉस है, कि अगर 100 रुपए बना रहे 25 रुपए लॉस है तो मुझे अच्छा है, कोई 100 रुपए कमाने पे 200 रुपए लॉस कर रहे तो मुझे अच्छा. That's very personal choices. So there's no yes or no answer on that. My formula, I invest blindly. अगर दिमाग ही लगाना है तो इक्विटी में लगा लूंगा जाकर, फिर स्टार्टअप में दिमाग नहीं लग सकता. I practically invest in a very early stage and blindly. मैं ये नंबर ही नहीं देखता कभी टू शेयर. The more you see these numbers, the more heartbeats can be skipped. So I generally don't do that. But again, as I'm saying, any investment is a very, very personal choice. I can just share my views. I cannot put on anybody. So please be very selective on whatever you want to.
Got it, sir. So perfect. I think thank you so much for your time. We have completed most of the questions, and I hope this session is helpful to all the potential angel investors on our community. Thank you so much for spending time with us, sir. And I think the community is very young and evolving in the ecosystem of angel investments. So time and again, we might keep bothering you for some more gyan and more understanding.
Kshitij, I would say that this is a proper discovery path. जैसे म्यूचुअल फंड में बार-बार कहता हूं, म्यूचुअल फंड हैज इन्वेस्टेड लास्ट 10 ईयर. म्यूचुअल फंड सही है, म्यूचुअल फंड 10 साल से वो ट्रेनिंग ही कर रहे हैं. तेंदुलकर से लेकर धोनी से लेकर हर आदमी ट्रेनिंग ही दे रहा है कि क्यों करना चाहिए. That's where startup stands right now. And it's not about one class, or it's not about one class by D2C or Kshitij. It has to be perennial. मैं तो ये कहूंगा 2 क्लासेस के बाद Kshitij, you can learn and you do your own master class, because that's the need of an hour. इंडिया में 20-25 हजार इन्वेस्टर हैं. 10 साल में 20-25 लाख होने चाहिए. वो मेरे हमारे करने से नहीं होगा, वो तो सबको लगना पड़ेगा उसके लिए as a startup community. So I think it's a very, very long road. Let's keep travel together and let's make it count. That's all I can say. Thank you so much for the time, and any time available as required.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.